Hakeem Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
It is important that we bring it up here so that everybody here should be aware, and the public also to know. This is a figment of the imagination. It has never happened anywhere.
House denies moves to impeach Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila.
If you experiment on any of the block cards, once you leave the shores of this country, when it is on roaming, it actually works perfectly.
And members called for measures to ensure that locked SIM cards do not function even when the devices are taken to different jurisdictions. Welcome to this week's edition of House Ticket, a program that takes you through the activities of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. As the House adjourned to embark on their annual summer recess at the end of plenary on Wednesday, July 27, 2022. High point of events and activities in the House for the week include several matters of personal explanation, motions and bills at plenary, as well as committee sittings. All of these engagements of the lawmakers within the Green Chamber of the National Assembly coming your way shortly. Please stay tuned.
The entire purpose of the legislative agenda is to direct our legislative resources and efforts in a coordinated effort to ensure the well-being of the individual in a life of safety and freedom. That is a high ambition, but it's well worth the effort. We have passed landmark legislation to fix our oil and gas industry, reform the police, and reorganize the corporate administration system in our country. We have considered and passed meaningful legislation that impacts all areas of our national life.
Welcome back. In this first segment, we shall take legislative proceedings at plenary where lawmakers deliberate on matters of urgent public importance, personal notice, bills and motions. The details.
The plenary for Tuesday, the 26th of July 2022 was presided over by the Deputy Speaker, Representative Ahmed Idris Wasi. A matter of personal explanation was moved by Representative Musa Serkin Adar, the leader of the Northern Caucus of Honorable Members of the Northern Extraction, to debunk the rumors on the plan to impeach the Speaker on the ground of the proposed Waterways Bill. He stressed that the House is united irrespective of ethnic background.
Let me make it very categorical here. Members of the Northern Caucus, one, we are patriotic, we are united. We don't have any discrimination in the north. We are not monolithic. We have various shades of people within us. We have Christians and Muslims, and we have people from various tribes across the entire northern region. So I wonder how a bill of a nature of a water bill will come, and we decided on the basis of region, tribe, or religion. And water, I don't know the correlation between water and religion, or water and ethnicity, or water and region. And this bill has been with us. Many people have contributed their input in it. And what will link it to the impeachment of a speaker? How could a speaker, by our rules, the speaker have no power to disallow any bill to be taken if it is listed?
Some lawmakers expressed dismay over what they described as a trivial issue and wondered how the bill can now be used as a tool to impeach the speaker.
Nobody can dictate to this House what it can do. We cannot take the state dictation from anybody. We cannot take from our own members, and we cannot take from any foreign imperialist media.
I know my colleagues. I know all of them, whether APC, PDP, whatever, under joint tax. It is not what we are thinking about, Mr. Speaker. And it's very unfortunate that people will want to sponsor that kind of stupid information. Today, We're under siege. Nigeria is under siege.
The matter is sufficiently settled.
The Deputy Speaker, Representative Ahmed Idris Wase, reiterated the unity of all honorable members to deliver on the mandate of the House to Nigerians.
We want to assure Nigerians that we are united, we are one in the spirit of our motto behind us, Joint Task Force, Nation Building Joint Task Force, and we shall remain so. And I do not think it is necessary. Whoever that is planting this story will end at his doorstep. We shall remain focused, committed to the cause of Nigeria and in the interest of our country. I think this is more sufficiently done.
The matter was referred to the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges to investigate further and unravel the source of the rumors.
And we told them that we have received their complaint.
Still on matters of personal explanation, Representative Muhammad Wudil, as the chairman, House Committee on Employment, Labour and Productivity, briefed the House on his dialogue with members of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) who were protesting the lingering ASUU strike. He noted that he received the written demands of the Nigerian Labour Congress and assured them that the House will continue to do all within its powers to ensure the agreement between the federal government and ASUU are adhered to in the shortest possible time.
That we have received their complaint and their demands in solidarity of ASUU. And on behalf of the House, I promise them that the leadership of the House of Representatives will ensure that we are going to bring all those concerned to the table. The Minister of Education, Minister of Labour, Minister of Finance, ASUU, TUC, and also NANS, to ensure that we give a time, if it is sleeping on that day, to ensure that that matter is resolved to the tune that everybody will understand.
The Deputy Speaker, Representative Ahmed Idris Wase, also reiterated the result of the House to ensure the lingering face-off between the federal government and organized labor is resolved within the shortest possible time.
Leadership will wade into it and act promptly, and we are going to do justice to all their demands.
Once you leave the shores of this country, when it is on roaming,
moving on to matters of urgent public importance, Representative Ahmad Munir moved a motion on the need to regulate the system of blocked SIM cards due to the non-availability of national identification number, which still works perfectly when the SIMs are taken beyond the shores of Nigeria.
There is a loophole. If you experiment on any of the blocked cards, once you leave the shores of this country, when it is on roaming, it actually works perfectly. You can make your calls and you can send your texts. Why is this important? If truly we are curtailing the criminal activities, then we are aware of the either insurgency, drug or human trafficking, piracy along the Borno-Cameroon border, Borno-Chad, Nigeria, Niger, Cross River, Cameroons, and of course the Gulf of Guinea. So anyone can perpetrate their crime with those SIM cards. Immediately they're outside the border and still create mayhem within the country.
In leading the debate, the lawmaker stated that since the reason for blocking SIM cards not linked to national identification number was to curtail their use for unscrupulous purposes, he wondered why measures were not put in place to ensure these cards do not work abroad.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay.
The motion was voted on and adopted. Prayers on the motion include: urge the telecommunication companies to block the loopholes that make this possible, as the reason for blocking was apt and should not malfunction in this manner, allowing kidnappers and terrorists to take advantage of the loopholes. Call on the Office of the National Security Advisor so that it is dealt with forthwith. Call on the House Committees on National Security and Intelligence, as well as telecommunications, to ensure compliance.
A motion was taken on the floor of this House.
Representative Abubakar Hassan Fulata moved a motion on the urgent need to redeploy soldiers to states being ravaged by bandits, especially in northern Nigeria.
Recently, however, several security personnel who had been manning several checkpoints within Wase Federal Constituency were withdrawn based on directives from above.
Representative Fulata, in leading the debate, stated that the withdrawal and lack of visible presence of security personnel have made bandits brazen in their attacks, which has continued to lead to the wanton destructions of lives and properties. Prayer on the motion include call for the immediate redeployment of security forces to areas considered flashpoints of bandits, terrorists and kidnappers for normalcy to return to the region, as well as to ensure the safety of lives and properties.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
The motion was voted
Against
on
any.
and adopted.
The ayes have it.
To have national identity number displayed on the national.
Representative Frederick Agbedi also moved the motion on the need to have the national identity number NIN to be displayed on the national identity cards.
The national identification number is a unique number which identifies you for life, and it is issued after your enrollment. It matches you with your biometric data and other details in the national identity data based during verification and authentication. It is said to be used for virtually all transactions in Nigeria requiring identity verification. Also aware that the National Identity Management Commission began enrollment exercise in September 2010 and started the issuance of a multi-purpose identity card in 2013. And only recently, the Commission has started issuing a digital ID card, which displays only the name, age, and nationality of the holder of the ID card without displaying the NIN number.
Representative Agbedi called on the National Identity Management Commission to ensure that future cards display the national identity number for easy access.
Aye.
The motion was voted
Against
on
any.
and adopted.
The ayes have it.
Concerned that committee's mandate
On motions from the other papers, a motion was moved by Representative Abubakar Hassan Fulata on the need for the extension of the mandate of the Special Ad hoc Committee to investigate the petroleum product subsidy regime.
committee's mandate was restricted to the periods 2013 to 2021, where most of the industry players claimed that they are not part of the DSDP arrangement within the period of the committee's mandate. Disturbed that between January to June 2022, the government has spent about 1.545 trillion naira on subsidies, a period some of these industry players are involved in the DSDP contract.
The motion was voted on and adopted, while the House resolved to extend the mandate of the House Committee on Petroleum Product Subsidy Regime to cover the period of 2013 to 2022, as well as subsidy payments and forex allocations from 2013 to date.
Clients can reach out to companies through
Representative Mayo Kunalade moved a motion on the need for toll-free customer care call center for multinational and public liability companies in Nigeria.
multinational and public liability companies in Nigeria have client transactive business with them. Most of them do not have a toll-free telephone line for clients to reach them with their complaints. Also note that clients can reach out to companies through mediums like social media, electronic media, text messages. However, clients generally prefer to reach out to such companies through telephone call. Dismay that the absence of a toll-free customer call center has subjected clients to charges for calls made either to lay complaint or to seek resolution on disputes that arise in course of any transaction.
The House resolved to 1. Urge the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy to direct multinationals and public liability companies in Nigeria to provide toll-free call centers for their customers and clients in Nigeria. 2. Mandate the Committees on Telecommunications and Legislative Compliance to ensure implementation.
Aye.
Motion was voted
Against
on
any.
and adopted.
The ayes have it.
For bills that came up in plenary proceedings during the week, a number of bills were presented for first reading, some of which include mandatory inclusion of teaching of sexual and gender-based violence into secondary schools curriculum in Nigeria bill by Representative Julius Ibovere, Federal Medical Center Efurum Delta State Establishment Bill 2022, sponsored by Representative Oberuakpefe Afe, Federal College of Education Technical, Ogoja, Cross River State Establishment Bill 2022, sponsored by Representative Jude Ogbeche Ngaji. Representative Ali Ahmed's Bill on Housing Trust Fund. Administration of Criminal Justice Act Amendment Bill 2022, sponsored by Representative Onofiok Luke. Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Panyam, Plateau State Establishment Bill 2022, sponsored by Representative Solomon Bulus Maren. Potatoes Research Center of Nigeria, Pokos, Plateau State Establishment Bill 2022, sponsored by Representative Solomon Maren, and National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency Establishment Bill 2022, sponsored by Representative Samson Oku. Some bills also scaled through the second and third reading. At second reading were bills such as a bill for an act to amend the Pension Reform Act No. 4, 2014 to make provisions for the establishment of the Federal Capital Territory Administration Staff Pension Bureau and the Federal Capital Territory Area Council Staff Pension Bureau for effective pension administration, management and service delivery, and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Ahmad Idris Wasi and Representative Abubakar Hassan Fulata. The bill was voted on, approved for second reading, and referred to the House Committee on Federal Capital Territory, including Committee on Area Councils.
The CBN as the land...
A bill for an act to amend Section 11 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act 2007 to add more conditions for disqualification and cessation of appointment as governor, deputy governor or director of the bank, and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Sada Soli, also scaled through the second reading.
We need to strengthen the CBN as the last lender of resort, the Bank of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, restore its credibility from the shock it has suffered in the course of interpreting the law, basically because of the absence of what I'm trying to amend in the law. Mr. Speaker, if you members go through the small gazette, the law, there is section 11, it reads, a person shall not remain a governor, deputy governor, or director of the bank if he is a member of any federal or state legislative house, B, a director, officer, or employee of any bank licensed under the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act.
The bill was voted on, approved for second reading, and referred to the House Committee on Banking and Currency. Meanwhile, a bill for an act to introduce preventive measures and teachings of sexual gender-based violence into the curriculum as a compulsory subject, civic education, for all secondary schools in Nigeria and for related matters, by Representative Julius Ihovere, also scaled through the second reading. The bill was voted on and approved for second reading and referred to the House Committee on Basic Education and Services. At third reading were bills such as a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation Act, Cap N137, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Nigerian Tourism Development Bill 2022, and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Alhassan Ado Dogwa. A bill for an act to repeal the National Commission for Colleges of Education Act and enact the National Commission for Colleges of Education Bill, and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Alhassan Ado Dogwa. As well as a bill for an act to establish Public Health Practitioners Council of Nigeria, charged with the responsibility of advancing the study, training and practice of public health management and administration in Nigeria, and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Peter Akpatason, among others, at third reading.
The program is House Tickets, and before the break, we brought you a summary of activities at plenary for the week, during which the House embarked on its annual summer recess. We will now go over to the committee rooms for details of events there.
We have to do away with the issue of...
If there are challenges, you can always come to the National
Assembly. We must back that effort.
If there was only 2% left, why didn't the ministry inject some money for 20?
Why transferring for the same area that they have operated there?
and you expect to come and clap for it.
So we are going to take the presentation from other.
The House Committee on Health Institutions on Wednesday, July 27, 2022, held the public hearing of a bill for amendment of the University Teaching Hospitals Act.
University teaching hospitals were run by directors of administration.
Speaking at the public hearing, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire, expressed reservation on the University Teaching Hospitals Amendment Bill aimed at restructuring the composition of the governing board of the institutions. The minister, who was represented by Mr. Adebimpe Adebi, the Director, Hospital Services, said that the passage of the bill into law would lead to a huge disruption in the health sector.
Prior to the enactment of the Principal Act, university teaching hospitals were run by directors of administration. This caused a lot of crisis, as the directors of administration were more focused on the financial bottom line to the detriment of training, patient care, and research. The position of the Chief Medical Director was first created by Decree 74 of 1979, which made the Dean or Provost of the Associate Medical School the Chief Medical Director. Decree 74 of 1979 sought to vest the control of the teaching hospital in the Dean or Provost, who, being a registered medical practitioner, could appropriately situate the priorities of the hospital as per training of the medical students and taking care of others.
On his part, the president of the Nigerian Medical Association (NMA), Dr. Uche Ojema, said that the association rejects the bill in its entirety.
The bill is in conflict with the Federal Medical Centers Establishment Bill 2022, which was recently passed by the National Assembly and is in fact before the President for assent. And the proponents of this bill emphasize on the headship of the hospitals, and we know that that is not the crux of the matter. The underperformance probably may be due to the important building blocks of the health system, health sector financing, and human resource for health.
If we do that, I believe it's going to be service to the people.
Speaking earlier, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, who was represented by the Leader of the House, Representative Alhassan Adodogwa, said that stakeholders' views either for or against the subject will be addressed. He said it would add to the quality of legislations of the 9th Assembly, which it would bequeath the citizenry at the end of its tenure.
We have everything on ground. What we require is the legislation and the leave of the stakeholders, and perhaps ultimately to seek and lobby Mr. President to have his consent to establish this very important infrastructure, health infrastructure. If we do that, I believe it's going to be service to the people, especially the Nigerian people who by coincidence pass through that enclave or that route. And it's also going to help my rural community to be able to access healthcare facilities. Otherwise, we are really in trouble. Even for a woman that is under labor, she has to be taking 2 or 5 kilometers to receive befitting medical services.
This is where we will wrap up this week's edition of House Tickets. Don't forget to join us again for a fresh edition as we bring you activities of your representatives in the Green Wing of the National Assembly. Always remember to catch up with our previous programs and at the same time, send in your comments, feedback and questions on our social media handles on display. Until next week when I come your way again, bye for now.